Is this you?
I'm a Webtoon creator, and I have a great comic I'm passionate about, but no one seems to notice it.
You're posting consistently, you care about your story, and your art is solid. And still, it feels like you're shouting into the void. And the worst part is, it feels like you're doing everything right. I'm Autumn Neoma, a witch who makes monster webcomics, and today we're talking about why romance dominates Webtoon and what every other genre can learn from it if you don't want your comic to disappear into the algorithm abyss. Here's the uncomfortable truth. It's not always about quality. It's not always about consistency. And it's not even always about the algorithm. Sometimes it's about the emotional architecture. And romance has been quietly mastering that architecture for years. You might think, I don't want to rely on romance, or I want my story to be deeper than that. And that instinct isn't wrong. But here's the reality. Romance consistently dominates Webtoon. If you look at the platform's front page at almost any given time, romance or romance-adjacent stories, such as drama, make up a massive percentage of top-performing series. That's not an accident. And it's not because romance readers are less picky. It's structural. Romance isn't winning due to genre preference alone. It's winning because it does something incredibly specific and very powerful. So, what is it that the romance genre is doing differently than others? Well, for starters, from a psychology standpoint, romance stories activate some of the strongest behavioral drivers we have: social bonding. Research in narrative psychology shows that audiences are most engaged when stories center around attachment and anticipation. Romance naturally builds all three. It creates ongoing tension, clear stakes, and emotional progression. Romance also thrives on delayed gratification. And delayed gratification is perfect for serialized platforms. Webtoon is built around scrolling, cliffhangers, and return visits. Romance gives readers a reason to come back next week. Will they confess? Will they break up? Did that almost touch mean something? That's narrative fuel. Even outside pure romance, top series often have strong romantic subplots because romance provides a built-in emotional spine. Keep that in mind until the end. So, what actually happens when other genres ignore this? Creators launch a fantasy, horror, or action webcomic. The world building is strong, the lore is detailed, and the stakes are technically high, but there's no emotional anchor. So episodes become plot updates, exposition drops, fight sequences, and while those can be exciting, they don't always create attachment tension. Without relational tension, engagement drops. Creators start tweaking the plot, adding twists, increasing spectacle, and that's where burnout also starts to creep in. Because bigger set pieces take more work. This is usually the moment creators stop posting. And they might think, maybe my art isn't good enough, maybe my premise wasn't strong, maybe Webtoon just doesn't like me. This is where I've seen people start thinking they weren't cut out for it. But often the issue isn't genre. It's missing the emotional glue. Quick tiny pause. The art in the background is from my Monster Girl webcomic, Chimera Cutie, and you can read it for free at the link below. If you want to see pages and videos early, that's all on my Patreon. Anyways, the real problem isn't discipline or skill. It's treating your webcomic like a plot machine instead of an emotional experience. And this is where most advice gets it wrong. Hook them with action, hook them with mystery. But romance succeeds because it hooks readers with emotional uncertainty. You don't need explosions, you need tension between people. And that doesn't mean every comic needs to be a romance. It means every comic needs something that functions like a romance. Something that creates anticipation, emotional risk, and relational stakes. Even in different genres like horror and dystopian. Take Saw 3, for example, one of my favorite horror movies. On the surface, it's a torture horror movie, but the spine of that film isn't the traps. It's the emotional relationship between the characters. AKA, the tension isn't only, will this character survive? It's, will Amanda prove herself? Does John still believe in Amanda? Is John manipulating Amanda? That's emotional tension. That's emotional risk. Now, let's look at one of my other favorite series, The Hunger Games. It's dystopian, political, and violent. But the reason it became a cultural phenomenon wasn't just the arena. It was the emotional, romantic triangle between Katniss, Peeta, and Gale. The audience didn't just want to know who would survive. They wanted to know, who would Katniss choose? Whether the romance was real or not. And whether intimacy could survive trauma. That's romance functioning inside a survival story. The dangers matter more because the relationships matter. That's the pattern. Romance doesn't dominate platforms like Webtoon because people only want love stories. It dominates because it naturally builds long-term emotional anticipation. And emotional anticipation is retention. Romance isn't just a genre. It's a tension engine. So, what can other genres learn? If you're writing fantasy, horror, sci-fi, thriller, or anything else, here's what you can borrow from romance without changing your genre. Introduce emotional dynamics early. Don't wait 30 episodes to hint at relational stakes. Let the comic teach you. Pay attention to which character interactions readers react to. That's your emotional current. Consistency beats perfection. Small, recurring emotional beats build more attachment than one giant dramatic moment. Make it sustainable, not heroic. You don't need constant escalation. Slow burn tension lasts longer than non-stop spectacle. Romance dominates Webtoon not because it's shallow, but because it understands something fundamental. People return for feelings. Plot brings them in, but emotion keeps them there. If you want to check out my Monster Girl webcomic, Mary Cutie, you can read it for free at the link below. And if you want to see pages early and videos early, that's all on my Patreon. And I'm curious, what's your favorite Webtoon genre? And thank you for watching.